on my own, and then I kept like all the questions and answers like written in my phone, and I just kind of wrote. Based off of that, I kind of put little like, here's where I want to put this question and answer. Like, this is going to be a first verse, the second verse. This idea will be, kind of brought up in the chorus. So for albums, it's a lot more in depth.
So you have a big picture in mind when you're looking at doing an album.
Yeah, and that, that's kind of hard to pull off when, like, I'm not, I don't just have free reign in the studio. Like, I gotta pay for all the time. So like, if there's something I want to change to kind of fit the bigger picture, it's like that'll cost me like $100. But in the end, when you have such this cohesive project, it ends up being worth it for sure. Yeah. But yeah, it's definitely like a bigger picture thing.
Okay. Let's see, what else was I gonna ask you? I should have written some of my questions down. Why the 21st? Why not sooner?
That was just so I had enough time to like, I gotta finish up the music video, editing wise, get the album cover all squared away.
Which one is the video for?
Suburban Trap Lord. Yeah. And yeah, I wanted to like kind of give myself enough time to promote it semi-properly. Yeah, it's basically just finishing things up. It's like that was more a result of me feeling the effects of like not having a full team or anything. It's just like it's me and a few people that I work with like here and there on whatever aspect of the process.
Anything potential process for like live music?
Yeah, actually, right.
Post pandemic.
True. Yeah, I do have a show on June 11th in St. Pete. I got the pedals and the mic and whatnot back there just for practice purposes. Yeah, so I got the show on June 11th. Did I say 11th the first time, or did I fuck it up? June 11th. In downtown St. Pete. That's the only show I have like planned, but I do want to do a lot more little local shows and whatnot, just to get be able to perform stuff from the album.
That's cool. Where is it at in St. Pete?
I think it's at the Edge Urban Marketplace. It's I've never actually been to the venue. From like what I saw on Google, it was like there's the stage area. There's a lot of like kind of picnic table places, little vendor. I don't know what those are, like stands, I guess. Yeah, it looks like a newsstand you would see in Times Square, where there's like a bunch of them for vendors to just kind of set up shop in for whatever event is going on there.
Oh, I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, no, it's a nice venue. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to live music again.
Oof. Oh, it's gonna happen. Going to 3 Points this year, it's gonna be good.
Oh, are you?
It's gonna be nice, yeah.
When is that?
It's I think October. I don't know. I'm gonna try to kiss Julian Casablancas. The Strokes are gonna be performing, and I'm gonna run up on stage and just give him a big old kiss. No homo.
That'd be cool.
What kind of homo? No hetero, really.
You're right.
Yeah.
Let me see. Anything particular that you wanted to?
Not really. Butterfly Theory comes out May 21st. I don't know. I mean, like anything like about the album, just like any, like
just kind of. I don't know. I kind of want to give you the opportunity to, if there's anything more. Let's see how to word this. Because obviously, I mean, you kind of said it before you even sent me the album. But I mean, even it goes without saying, when I listen to the album, it's obviously personal to you. you know.
Right.
So I don't want to go into details with anything like that, obviously. But it definitely sounds like there was a lot maybe in you were needing to put out there, get out of your system or something like that.
Yeah, it was making the album the whole way through was a very what's the word, like cathartic experience. I think I'm using that right.
Yeah.
It was like there were a few songs where like it was either as Ryan and I were like finishing up the whole like mixing and like just kind of gluing all the pieces together for any given track, or like while I was writing it in the very early stages where I could just like it was a physical sensation of like having that weight lifted off my shoulders, because full honesty, I'm a little worried about just how personal everything on the album is, like putting that out there just as a public record. That's a pretty worrying aspect, because like like there's a lot of shit I did that I'm talking about me doing on the album that's like really not okay. Granted, it's in the past, but like I worry about like letting people in on all that, but at the same time, I knew what I wanted to do with this album, and weirdly enough, if I wasn't like at least a little worried, like, oh, this is maybe too personal, then like I wouldn't have been doing the album right. Like,
right.
I don't have a life story where I can I can tell people my life story, and then it's like feel like fully at peace right after telling that story. Like I don't want to like if I told somebody my full life story, I'd be admitting to a lot of like really bad shit that I did, and so I didn't want the album to just not have those things, because it is important to like what made me who I am right now. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I get that, and I didn't necessarily kind of surprise me as far as the honesty and stuff goes, because I heard parts of that off of like Florida Man and stuff, like.
Oh yeah.
And that was one of my favorite things about your song "Are You Happy" off of Florida Man.
Oh yeah.
It's just very raw and honest, and that's just my favorite thing about that song. It's like, yeah, it does kind of make you vulnerable in a way, putting that out there, but it's like, how can you not love somebody just being open and honest like that? That's just like
it's not to say that like sad art is the best art, man. That's not necessarily the case, but I always seem to enjoy albums where the artist, or even like if it's a band like the front man, whoever it is, they're just getting so bare, like open, vulnerable, like that really. I love feeling like I'm being let into somebody's world, when I'm listening to an album, and not necessarily in like the way that they're like if a sad, it's got to be more nuanced than that. Like it can't just be like a sad boy rapper, at the beginning of an album going like, you're gonna see the chasms of my mind.
Right.
Like that's fucking lame. Don't tell me that it's personal, and then it's just like a voice memo of you telling me how personal this album is, and that's the first song. That's fucking lame.
Right.
It should just come off as that. You can't.
Right. It's not genuine if you're having to tell me it's.
Yeah, like if it's personal, I'll hear that it's personal,
exactly.
And like let me figure that out. Don't make it something that you insist on me knowing. Let me figure that out. I don't need you holding my hand through this album, like.
Right.
So yeah, I didn't, I of course I emphasize how personal it is and like for promo purposes, but I don't feel the need to like hold somebody's hand through this experience. Like
exactly.
I just want to drop them in and like just let it be as horrible as it is before it gets good.
Yeah. I mean, you just mentioning about sad art just made me think of one of my favorite lyrics in your album was, and it's the beginning. It's when you say, you're talking about like singing about death or shit.
Oh, real
Something
death.
you say, yeah, and
Yeah,
you just
yeah,
say
yeah.
that's just how I grieve, or maybe that's just how I grieve. And it's like that right there is like
Yeah.
that hit me because I was like, that's honest. That's honest right there. That's the same
Yeah.
thing I would do. You know, when I was in music, is everybody is gonna, you know, if they have something they're trying to get out, however, whether it's poetry or music or whatever,
Yeah.
then it's, you shouldn't be kind of faulted for that. It's like,
Yeah, that's a pretty brutal way to start the album. I mean, the first lines being, "Real death is not for making art, so I should be ashamed." Like,
right,
oh,
yeah,
that's
that's
like that, you know.
it does kind of hit hard though.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to like drop the listener into, you know, where the story starts, and that's like a pretty brutal fucking place.
Right.
So yeah, I just I kind of minimal on the production. Like, there's not a lot of, like, you know, it's a pretty minimalist beat. Because I just wanted people to like focus on like my lyrics, sort of setting the stage for the rest of it.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely hit hard, and that was like, that's just one of the things that I heard. I mean, obviously you hear right off the bat, but it's like, man, it just hit right off the bat.
Yeah.
I was like, damn. So you kind of already know what you're in for, just like you said. You like kind of know what you're in for. It's like, okay, this is gonna be real.
Yeah.
But that's, you know, that's almost how I knew. It's like, all right, this, because when you first sent me the album and I listened to the first, you know, I don't know, 30 seconds or so, and you said that, and I was like, that almost already stuck with me right off the bat. So I was like, kind of skipped around on it, and because before I even had a track listing, so I was just kind of skipping around on it, and I kept hearing like bits and pieces, and even like on the last song, and it was weird just the way I was skipping around the bits and pieces and the lines I was catching. You know, even when I skipped towards the end, one of the clips I heard was, now, and I just heard it this morning, so I'm gonna mess it up because I'm not gonna say it right. But you said, stories have a beginning, a middle, and end, and if you're happy at the end, then you're only happy when you're dead. Something.
Yeah.
I know I'm messing that up.
Yeah, have you ever noticed in stories there's a beginning, a middle, and end, but real life never works that way unless you're happy when you're dead?
Yes.
Yeah. So that was one of two songs.
And I was like, man, even that's deep. So it's like, I mean, catching the bits and pieces, kind of skipping through, I was catching all these lyrics and these words and phrases that I was like, okay, I'm going to have to dedicate some time to this and really digest it before I... But I knew, kept doing that I was like, this album is going to flow. I could already tell that it's just going to flow. But
that song, that was one of two songs where it's like, it was inspired. You know that show BoJack Horseman? Yeah. So I don't know if I would say it's the best show ever made, but it's definitely my favorite. And there's a lot of philosophy that goes into, you know, every individual episode, like philosophy on greater themes, but one that kind of runs throughout the entire show was pretty perfectly summarized in this episode in season 1. Have you ever seen BoJack Horseman?
Bits and pieces.
So there's this character Diane, and she, like, they're filming a movie at her house about something that supposedly happened like recently. She was involved in that, so she's being played by, I think it was like Drew Barrymore or somebody famous, like somebody who's real world famous.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's this moment where they're talking and they're both just dressed like Diane would normally dress. The actress is in costume. And, you know, Diane is explaining, so, you know, in a movie or any kind of story, there's like that beginning, middle, and end, and it's you know, there's always the happy ending. But then in real life, like when one arc ends, there's the day after that, and then the day after that, and it just keeps going. There's, you know, so like the point in that line being that there's a lot of ups and downs in life, and that's kind of how I wanted to, you know, end the album. Like I didn't want there to be like a really solid, you know, ending, because that implies that I'm like not, you know, I'm all good now.
Yeah.
And you know, I mean, I am, but like, you know, as compared to in the album. But you know, life goes on, and that's kind of how it does in BoJack